All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start out by giving all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Marakah Kodash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of Well. Peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect, the Bayah, Dawadah, the house of David. All right, we're just going to get right into it. All right, so let's go right here. It says United Nations Agenda 2030 for a new world order, right? It says the 17 sustainable development goals that make up Agenda 2030 essentially serves as the recipe for the coming technocracy, a technocratic Salakia, new world order, and the UN plans to have nations to control to impose new laws and incentives upon their citizens, in an effort to achieve their goals, which they lump under a sustainability. The Agenda 2030 is a ramp up from its predecessor, Agenda 21, as it aims to control everything and control all lands, water, energy, technology, production, information, animals, and all human through AI, right? Human merged with machine, right? It says 6G blockchain, right? 6G blockchain, like I spoke about, 6Gs. And they had the 5G. That's what that was the predecessor, all right, or Salakia. That was the coming, the really big coming of their technocracy was that 5G. Henceforth went into it that jump shot, consists of. But that's we already broke that down. With COVID. With CV-19 even meant, certificate of vaccination identification, 19 meaning AI, artificial, all right, artificial intelligence, which was 1-9. Put the 9 the other way, and the 1 in the front, all right, and the 9 in the back. Actually, you put the 9 in the front and the 1 in the back, Salakia, and that's where you get your AI at. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Let's go here. So this is what we are told versus what it possibly means, right? So it says. Number 1, no poverty. 2, 0 hunger. 3, good health and well-being, right? So it says what we are told. It says in poverty in all its forms and everywhere. It says what it possibly means. It says all will receive digital universal basic income and identity on the blockchain. It says wealth distribution. It says from rich to poor, the elimination of lower class. It says, for number 2, it says, in hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrient in agriculture. It says, more synthetic lab-grown frankenfoods, GMOs, nanotech that affects DNA. It says, those which the RFID chip will be able to buy, resulting in 0 hunger. It says, 3, for good health and well-being. It says, ensure healthy lives and push well-being. It says more job production, propaganda for future planned demics to alter DNA. It says biometric, right, means the study of the body, right? Metrics meaning the measure of something. Bio means the study of the body. So the measure of the body. So you put it backwards, it means the measure of body, right? So sensors to monitor the body, right? See, sensors to monitor the body, right? Which henceforth goes into vaccinations. Ultimately, a lot of deaths. Ultimately, a lot of things of that nature coming from these vaccinations. Ultimately, to put what you call, how can I say, tracker sensors and all types of things into your body, like they showed you in the movie The Matrix. Right, where they put when Neo was in the back of the car, all right, or that dream that he first had, and he had a body tracker inside of him, and he thought it was a dream, but it was actually real. You see? All right. It says biometric sensors to monitor the body. It says medical history will be on a blockchain, right? And I broke down what blockchain was all about in previous videos or past videos. All right, so where we at? Yep, number 4. It says quality education, gender equality, and it says clean water and sanitation. So it says ensure an extensive, what is that? Incentive in equitable quality education and long life learning. It says dumb down education to indoctrinate, upskilling and reskilling for a new life, long learning, gig economy. It says as AI and the robotics will replace many jobs. It says gender equality and empower women. It says replace human intelligence with AI to avoid incorrect judgments. It says promote radical fashionism. It says the trans and sodomite agenda and multiply genders. It says teach women to have less or no kids. It says abandon gender identity and promote transhumanism as the new gender. Right? See? It says ensure sustainable water management. It says metals, fluoride, and henceforth that's what you have. What you call the chemtrails is all about, man. Chemtrails is just nothing but barium oxide, aluminums, and things like that they shoot over all day in the sky. All right, and they do that all day consistently. They got planes out all day long trying to block out the sun and do all this other stuff like that. Put those barium oxides into the air and things like that, and that's why you see metals when you see metals and things like that. All right. It says in nanotech in the water. You see that nanotech in the water, right? It says in control and monitor all water systems, right? So 7, 8, and 9. It says affordable and clean energy. All right, decent work and economic growth. It says industry and innovation and infrastructure, right? So it says ensure access to affordable and reliable, sustainable, and modern energy. It says monitor all energy systems in homes and corporate buildings in real time. It says cities and towns to institute blackouts to save on energy. All right, promote sustainable economic growth, productive employment, and decent work. It says replace workers with robotics and AI, connect workers to VR headsets as the metaverse will be the future of work. It says 9. It says build resilient infrastructure and promote industrialization, right, and innovation. Right? It says use robotics and AI to fully automate infrastructural projects and innovation, making people useless in the industries. All right, 10 and 11. It says required inequalities, right? Sustainable cities and communities, right? And responsible consumption and production. Right, reduce inequality within countries. Right, it says being developed countries, bringing developed countries down to nearly poverty level, while raising poor nations slightly above poverty level. Set up short-term gig jobs in a race to bottom economy. Right, it says make cities safe and sustainable. It says move everyone into smart cities with the social credit score system, right? So there you have it. That's all going to tie in with the MOTB, right? Smart cities, right? So henceforth, what the word smart would mean, the word smart meaning surveillance, monitoring, analysis, report, tracking, right? So when you go into that movie, Minority Report, right? That's henceforth what it's showing you about. Henceforth what Palantir, Gideon, and all these things is all about, right? All right? tracking, CBDCs, and so on and so forth as they get into, right? You see? 6G, AI, 5G, many different other things as it speaks about in here. You know, so it says everything connected via blockchain, 5G, 6G, right? Which is nothing but super radiation, which is henceforth is talk about in the scriptures, the grievous sword. All right, because radiation, it can burn. Radiation will fry you, man. All right, especially at the high generations and generations of this. Now your phone is not even ran off of 5G and 6G. All it is radiation that's just superly frying. Okay, that's all it is. All right, it says consistent surveillance and gun control. See that? Consistent surveillance and gun control. Henceforth, why they broke down laws. That's why this government is shut down right now. They're breaking down laws. See, henceforth, they think people are stupid. The men of the Lord is not stupid, man. You can't be ignorant to Satan's devices. That's why this government has been shut down for about 33 to 34 days, man. Henceforth, they're rewriting laws. They're breaking down laws. They're breaking down things behind the scenes. So henceforth, moving into the Esau's so-called New Year, which is 2026. All right. Henceforth, you're going to see a new things occur. Okay. All right. 12. It says responsible composition and production. It says ensure sustainable composition, right? Salakia, consumption. All right, consumption and production patterns, right? Salakia. So responsible consumption and production, Salakia, right? Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. All right, food and water is radiated based off, all right, it says what is that, based off social credit score, right? It says punish those who throw away food and consumption of frankenfoods and GMOs, right? Okay, so let's go over here. Right here. Okay, so this is 13, 14, and 15. It says climate action, right? Life below water. It says life and land, right? So it says take urgent action in climate change, right? Create a circular economy. It says both natural and man-made disasters, right? To be blamed in climate change, blamed on climate change. Thus forth, when you go into your phone and you be seeing, all right, and you be seeing the weather and all these different things like that. That's them changing times and seasons and times and laws, man. Seasons, man. All right, playing with their heart program and doing all this other things like that, man. All right, and these man-made storms, man. All right, with their heart program, man. All right, then blaming it on climate change, man. It's a damn lie, man. All right? Okay? It says to be blamed on climate change and thus keeping draconian measures in place, right? Draconian measures means harsh laws, man. All right? It says carbon and footprint taxes, right? It says conserve and sustainably use the oceans, right? It says monitor and restrict access to the open seas, lakes, and rivers with sensors and satellites and punish those found guilty. Henceforth by flock cameras, is data tracking, location tracking. Even ICE uses that. All right, ICE uses that. The police use that. They all use it, man. And there's all satellite, and there's different satellites set up. There's the flock cameras are set up. There's many different other things set up. That was all going on during the time of CV-19. They were setting up all these things, right? Okay. It says, where we at with it? It says surveillance and punish those found guilty. It says feed people genetically modified, right? GMOs, genetically modified farm breed, and lab-grown fish. Right? It says protect and restore, promote sustainable use of, what is that, terrestrial ecosystem, right? It says force people off rural lands, ranches, right? And that's what you see Bill Gates doing. Bill Gates bought up all farmlands. He bought up all these things. Why you think henceforth why they trying to take out all the farmers and take out all these things like that? And as you can see in the news and everything going on. All right, this is henceforth a part of their new world order scheme. All right, to own everything, right? To have everything in their possession, and you own nothing, and you will love it. All right, okay, but you would just be a slave. All right, Goyim unto Amalek, the small hatters. All right, the tiny tops. Okay. It says, and restrict and minimize Salakia travel to natural and land habits and forests. All right, so let's go over here to this last two. It says peace, justice, and sound and strong institutions, right? Partnerships for the goals, right? Henceforth, stockholders or stakeholders capitalism. Right, which this thing is all into, man. Right, henceforth, NATO, EU, right, is all behind this thing. But you see Esau, which these are devil kingdoms, not going to stand up against, because these are Edomites in cahoots, man. All right, so they're proud. Both sides of the wing is proud. All right, even though they want the same agenda, they want the same goal, but they both proud. All right. It doesn't matter if they're American Edomites. It doesn't matter if they're Polish Edomites. All right? You see, it doesn't matter what Edomite they are. They still got a proud and a devil-like mind. All right? You see? You see? So, let's see here. It says promote peaceful societies and inclusive, all right, and inclusive institutions for sustainable development. It says only those with the RFID microchip, the mark of the beast, MOTB, right? Revelation, the 13th chapter, you can start at the 15th verse. All right, we're going to get there with that. And you can read all the way down, all right? It says digital ID, absolutely. All right, digital ID passport with biometrics, like I told you, the measure of the body, the study of the body, right? Which is radio, with henceforth meeting up with radio frequencies, right? Because in order to control something, right, you have to be able to control the mind, the body. You want to henceforth control the spirit, and that's what they want to do. They want to control the spirits on the planet of the earth, right? With the signified tag of an RFID microchip, right, which is a mark signifying that you are their slave, you are their goyim. All right. It says digital ID passport with biometrics data on a blockchain. It says can be a part of the peaceful society, and social credits will be used to get the population. It says to obey the New World Order, the NWO. It says and punish unwanted behavior, and those who do not comply will be imprisoned. Right. So you had Aaron Russo spoke about this, where they could just say, just turn your chip off. All right. It says they'll have all benefits on the blockchain turned off. Right. You see. It says, verse number 17, partnership for the goals. It says, strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize global partnership for sustainability. The sustainability. It says, in order to implement all 17 SDGs, it says, and maintain global partnerships for the goals. It says a number of key technologies needed to be further pushed on societies, such as the CBDC, blockchain technology, CRISPR gene editing, AI monitoring, sensors, AI, biometric facial recognition. And as you can see, you got that all in when you go to football games, basketball games, when you go to even when you go to damn the airport, you know, that's all over, man. That's everywhere, man. And that's been going on for a long time. Starting out that with when they took down that with the Patriots Act, man. That was henceforth why. That was henceforth why going into all of 911, all right. And brothers should know what I mean by 911, 9/11, all right. Henceforth, what that was pretty much all about, in a sense of Patriots Act and so on and so forth, right? And many different other things hidden inside of that place, all right. But it says facial recognition cameras, 5G, 6G, smart cities, right? Okay, smart cities, right? Meaning surveillance, monitoring, analysis, report tracking. All right, RFID chip, IoT, IOB, robotics, etc. to fully control the world, right? Okay, so let's get out of there and let's go to here, right? So it says New World Order conspiracy theory, right? It says the New World Order, NWO, is a term often used in conspiracy theories, which hypothesizes a secretly emerging totalitarian world government, right? It says the common theme in conspiracy theories are about a new world order and a secretive power, elite and globalist agenda conspiring to eventually rule the world through an authoritarian or one world government which will replace sovereign nation states and all-encompassing propaganda whose ideology hails the establishment of the New World Order as the culmination of history's progress. It says many influential historical and contemporary figures have therefore been alleged to be part of the cabal that operates through many front organizations, which is World Economic Forum, the IMF, the CFR. It's so many. All right, it's just so many that they have backing. There's so many fronts, right? All right. It says to orchestrate the significant political and financial events ranging from causing systematic crises to pushing through controversial policies at both national and international levels as steps at order ab chaos, right? Order out of chaos, right? Okay, the 33-degree right wing, left wing, right, of the same wing, right? DJ Trump, he's what? Henceforth, what is DJ Trump? Nero 47. All right. Well, Nero 47 is of the Scott Rite Freemasonry, right? The 33-degree high up, right? And henceforth, why his inauguration he had a purple tie on. All right, because usually you see him with a red or a blue tie on. But he had a purple tie on at that inauguration, right? Henceforth, he was going through a ritual, right? Henceforth, what I believe through the spirit, he was still the president during the time when Joe Biden was in office. Because why? He was going through a ritual. You see? See, these devils do things through that the eye only can't catch, but you got to watch things spiritually. You got to have spiritual discernment. All right? You see? So let's go down here and read a little bit. It says, where we at? It says, to controversial policies at both national and international levels as steps as an ongoing plot to achieve world domination. Right? It says the reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States, 1776, the Latin phrase Nobilis Ordo Seclorum. All right? It says, appearing on the reverse side of the Great Seal since 1782, on the back of the U.S. $1 bill since 1935, translates to the new order of the ages, right? Which age means rulership, right? Okay, coming together, that's what they want to come together in unison, right? But that's not going to happen. The Most High, this is what you call the Tower of Babel. The Most High is going to break that thing down. He's going to destroy it. He says they should build, but I will throw down. That's what the Most High said. That's what Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said. Most High said they shall build, but I will throw down. The border of wickedness, Esau, Edom. All right, so-called white man. All right. It says before the early 1990s, it says a New World Order conspiracy. It says which limited to two American countercultures, primarily the militantly anti-government right, and secondarily the part of the fundamentalist Christianity concerning with the logical end-time emergence of the Antichrist. It says academics who study conspiracy theories and religious extremists such as Michael Barkin and Chip Bailey, it says, observe the right-wing populist conspiracy theories about the New World Order not only have been embraced by many seekers of the stigmatized knowledge, but also have seeped into popular culture, thereby fueling a surge of interest in participation in the survivalist and the militarism. All right, militarism as many people actively prepare for apocalyptic and millennium scenarios. It says these political scientists warn that mass hysteria over New World Order conspiracy theories could eventually have devastating events on American political life, ranging from escalating lone wolf terrorism to the rise of the power of authoritarian, all right, unnationalist demagogists, all right. So now let's go here to the word conspiracy. Right, so it says conspiracy, a plotting of evil, unlawful design, a combination of persons for evil purpose, right? For evil purpose, right? The word henceforth where you see spirit in there, right? Which meaning spirits coming together to come together for one unison of a purpose, of a plot, right? And that means a collective of people. All right. So it says conspiracy plot from Latin conspiratium, right? Or nominative, right? Conspiratio, right? Agreement, union, unanimity, right? It says noun action from past principles stem of conspire, right? To agree, unite, plot, or literally to breathe together. Spirits coming together to breathe one consent of putting a plot together. All right. You see? So let's go down here, right? It says conspire, right? It says aspire on a plan, maliciously agree together to commit a criminal or reprehensible act, right? It says to unite, plot, literally to breathe together, right? To assimilate, form, or come with, together, conspire, to breathe, to spirit, right? To breathe spirit, breathing spirits together, meaning they coming in one unison to come together for one plot, right? It says perhaps on a notion to agree, right? By spoken oath, to commit a bad act, or perhaps the notion in to blow together musical instruments, i.e. to sound in unison. All right? You see? So let's go to the word theory. Let's show you. This is in the online etymology. So the word theory right here, right? Because you always like to say theory. All right? It says a speculation, right? Okay? a contemplation, speculation, looking at, viewing a sight, show, spectacle, meaning they're giving you a show. So what they do in their news and what they do on TV, they're giving you a show. They're giving you a theater, henceforth showing you what they're doing with their new world order plans. So they're playing out the show, right? Henceforth, basketball is set up. Henceforth, football is set up. Henceforth, baseball is all set. All body elites. It's all betting and organizations and all fronts and setbacks and many different things. All right? It's all secondhand scheming. And henceforth, they already know who's going to win the Super Bowl. Henceforth, they already know all this other madness and BS, man. But have you in a trick bag thinking that everything is all good. But little do they just lying to you on a daily basis. Right? Boxing is set up. Basketball, football, baseball, hockey is all set up by the elites, the small hats, right? Small hats, huh? And then the people they have behind it, like the Italian mob and so on and so forth, right? But that's another thing, all right? It says to consider, to speculate, look at. It says from theros, right? A theros, spectator, right? You see? Okay? All right? It says in the sense of principles and methods of the science are art. Rather than its practice, it is recorded by 1610s as a musical theory. Music theory, right? Which is the science of musical composition, a part of the practice of a performance, right? So we are doing what we do on the right-hand side, which we are the light bearers on the right-hand side, playing the musical song of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and letting them know, right, that your kingdom will not stand, it will be destroyed by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and coming with the chariots, and Yahushai coming with the chariots and the archangel Michael, and they will get busy and they will take this kingdom down and set up the kingdom of heaven. Right, for the children of Israel, right? Nation of Israel, right? So our musical theater is being played out on our side. They're playing their musical theater out on their side, but their musical theater is going to be destroyed, right? So we hear their song being played over there, and they hear our song being played over there, and they hear our song being played over there, right? So they listening to our song while we listening to their song, and that's henceforth why this thing is all about Esau and Jacob. So you understand, the other nations are in the mix of this thing, all right, because they had a hand in this thing, but really this thing stems back to Jacob and Esau. So let's continue on. It says an intelligible explanation based on an observation and reasoning, right? Okay. You see, governing subject a discipline, right? Subject a discipline. It says language and principles governing a subject discipline, etc. All right, so let's go here. Let's go up out of there, right? Technocracy, right? So let's play this here, right? And then we're just gonna get some scriptures, and we're gonna get up out of here. All right, so let's play this.
In the early 20th century, a movement began to develop around a political theory known as technocracy, a system wherein management of governments is handled by technical experts, often involving technology-focused solutions. Early proponents of technocracy claimed that the concept would lead to better management of resources and the protection of the planet. However, this system of governance by technological experts and their technology would also involve a loss of privacy, as well as centralization of power and the management of all human behavior. Although the term appears to have been largely forgotten, the technocratic philosophy and influence can be seen everywhere in our modern digital world.
Already beginning to arrive at the huge civic auditorium, where a large receptive audience turned out to hear Howard Scott as he warned of an impending crisis in America's domestic and foreign affairs.
One of the most influential proponents of technocracy was a man named Howard Scott, a writer who founded the Technical Alliance in New York City in 1919. Scott believed that business owners lacked the necessary skills and data to reform their industry, and thus control should be handed over to engineers. The technocrats publicized their vision of a centrally planned world via books, speeches, clubs, and political parties. This resulted in a brief period of popularity in the US and Canada in the years following the Great Depression. As politicians and economists searched for a solution to the financial calamity, the technocrats imagined a world where politicians and business owners were replaced with scientists, engineers, and other technical experts who would manage the economy. However, in the 1940s, mainstream interest in the technocracy movement seemed to dissipate. The ideas that underpinned the technocratic vision received a notable endorsement in 1970 when political scientist Zbigniew Brzezinski released his book, Between Two Ages, America's Role in the Technotronic Era. Brzezinski will be familiar to long-term researchers of the ruling elite. Until his death in 2018, Brzezinski was a diplomat who ran in the same circles as David Rockefeller and former Secretary of State and accused war criminal Henry Kissinger. Brzezinski served as advisor to several presidents, from Jimmy Carter to Barack Obama. He was also a member of the Atlantic Council, the National Endowment for Democracy, and the Council on Foreign Relations.
Oh, as you can see, there's another one of the councils, Atlantic Council. All right. You know, as I named a few earlier, right? As you can see back there, you got the Council on Foreign Relations, which is the CFR, right? So this guy was in there, you know?
Although Brzezinski's book, Between Two Ages, substituted the term technotronic for technocratic, the depiction of the future is the same. A world in which the scientific and technological elite centrally plan the lives of all humanity. Essentially, Brzezinski's vision is a technologically advanced, authoritarian-style collectivism wherein individual liberties are subordinated to the apparent needs of the collective. When we examine the world of 2025, we clearly see the signs of technocratic influence.
They say the Trilateral Commission. As you can see, the Trilateral Commission, you know.
For example, we can see this influence in the wealthiest companies and the most influential CEOs. These individuals are running companies that have amassed large amounts of financial wealth as well as unfathomable amounts of digital data on all of their customers. From Jeff Bezos at Amazon, Bill Gates of Microsoft, Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, Elon Musk of Tesla and SpaceX, we can see the technocratic ideology. These men and their colleagues in various technological industries wield immense power through their companies, wealth, and cultural influence. These individuals have enough money, resources, and connections to shape elections, geoengineer the climate, and cause dips in the stock market, to name a few examples. They are the technocratic class of 2025.
What if you could clean your...
All right, this is going to, stop it right there. So we're going to get into a few scriptures. This is Job 9:24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who is the wicked? Esau, Edom. That's who the wicked. And the word hand there means yad, means power, right? So it says he covered the faces of the judges thereof. Who's the judges? Yahweh and Yahushai, the angels, all right? And ultimately us, we're judges, all right? And he exited out Yahushai, exit out the Heavenly Father. He's henceforth why he's the adversary. He's Satan, meaning Satan, meaning adversary, meaning against, or adverse. All right. It says, if not, where and who is he? All right. So let me get Psalms 10. Let me get Psalms 10, the third chapter. It's Psalms 10, the third verse. It says, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire. And what is his heart's desire? His new world order. As you can see, it says, and blessed the covenants whom Yahweh abhorreth. Right? It says, his ways are always grievous, and thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for his enemies, he puffeth at them. Right? And you can see he got that proud spirit on. He puffeth at his enemies, man. Nobody can take me down. I'm Esau. Who can deal with me? Look at the things I did. Look at the technology I got. Look at the powers that's upon me. All right, but little do we know, Yahweh Shem Yahushai is going to take him down. All right, it says, and he has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. Right, and you're going to be in adversity. All right, it says, and his mouth is full of cursing and deceit. Right, and his mouth is full of cursing and deceit. Right, deceit meaning lies. And fraud, meaning fraud. When you fraud somebody, you giving them hope, but it really ain't there. Like the same thing with lies. Fraud meaning you robbing them, right? You frauding them, you robbing them, you're straight robbing them. It says under his tongue is mischief. Mischief means the ways of being deceit, ways of committing an act. All right, and what is the act that he want to commit? To enslave to enslave everybody on the planet by a technocracy, AI, one world government, man merged with machine. All right, with the RFID microchip implemented under his Luciferian doctrine. All right. Under all religions must be deceased. So-called religions must be deceased. There's only you bow down to him and him only. Restrictions, all right? Draconian laws, harsh laws, so on and so forth, all right? And vanity. Vanity means it's vain, meaning it doesn't. It's nothing there for it. You're not gonna make it, all right? You see? All right, so let me go here to Micah 2 and 1. You can go to Micah 2 and 1. Micah 2 and 1, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, right? Because they're thinking about all the wickedness that they can come up with and practice it and put it into their laws in the morning, right? Writing their legislation out. It says when the morning is light, right? When the morning is light, when the sun rises, all right? When they wake up, open their eyes, all right? They're already scheming on wickedness, right? It says they practice it is because it's in the power of their hand, right? Because it's in the power of their hand, right? You see? So let me get 2 Thessalonians 2 and let's start at verse number 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, right? Who's the man of sin? Esau, Edom, the son of destruction, right? The son of perdition, right? The son of destruction. All right? It says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Yahweh, right? Or that is worshipped, so that he as Yahweh sitteth in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh, which he's not. He's showing himself to be a god. Henceforth, why he want to set up Amalek, right? The small hatters, the tiny tops, right? Henceforth, why they calling shots from over in the Levant, all right? And even there's a lot of them over here, all right? You see, but the top banking for the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Abrahams, the Bilderbergs, the DuPonts, the Gettys, all right? They're over in the UK and places like that, man. They're overseas, man. All right, living it up in mansions and eating good food and drinking good water. All right, you see, living their life up. You see, thinking that they gonna get their new world order up and running. Well, I'm about to put a kink in their plans by telling them that Yahweh Bashim Yahshai is gonna mess your new world order up, man. He gonna plummet and bring your new world order to being obsolete. All right, to being obliterated, eviscerated. Okay. All right, Yahweh Shai. Okay. You see. And Yahweh and Yahweh Shai gonna get the glory, right? Yahweh Shai gonna get his glory, okay? But you're gonna know that Yahweh was behind this, okay? Through his son Yahweh Shai, all right? It says, and now you know with what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time, right? And he's being revealed, right? It says, for the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out the way, right? And he who now letteth will let. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is letting it because it's all prophecy. All right? It says he will be until he be taken out the way. And then shall the wicked be revealed, right? Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. That's the brothers teaching his word, the truth, the knowledge, the understanding, the wisdom, the scriptures. All right, which condemns Esau, Edom. And condemns the other nations, but mainly condemns Esau, Edom, and his destruction. All right? And the other nations, and all the nations will be broken with a rod of iron. All right? We're going to get an inheritance, and what are the inheritances? To inherited people. Nations. And that's the other nations, the other 17. Esau was included in there. That's why I said the 17. All right? It says, and then after that 1,000 years, Esau, Edom will be expurgated off the face of the earth. All right? Obadiah 1 and 18. All right? It says, for the mystery of iniquity doeth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out the way. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Right? And that's when he's coming with the angels. Right? Yahushua says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. Right? The word Satan, shaitan, which means adversary or against. Esau, Edom. Esau is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. Right? Manifest in the flesh. Right? It says, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Okay? You see? So let me get Psalms 5 and 9. Psalms 5 and verse number 9. And it says, for there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is very wicked. It is very wickedness, and their throat is an open sepulchre. It says they flatter with their tongue, right? They flatter with their tongue, man. That's a charmer. When a charmer comes charming, he's flattering with his tongue. And that's how Esau is. He has a lying, flattering, slick, sly tongue. All right? Tell you one thing, but then he's looking to do another. You're signing a contract with the devil. All right? You make an agreement with the devil. And you can possibly die by the devil's sword. All right? Okay, which is ultimately Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua behind this thing, man. Okay? All right? So let me get Habakkuk. Yeah, let me get the book of Habakkuk. Yeah, the book of Habakkuk. The second chapter, and we start at the first verse. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me. Right? It says, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. It says, and Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain. Right? Write the vision and make it plain. All right? Break it down so it's plain to them. Upon tables, right? Scriptures. It says that he may run that readeth it, right? That he may run that read. He may go and tell. Go and tell what you understand it. With wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Don't hide your light. All right? It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, right? For the vision is yet for an appointed time, meaning the prophecy. Okay? It says, but at the end it shall speak, right? In the speaking. All right? The MOTB that we talked about, been talking about. All right? Been speaking on it. Been speaking on it. New World Order, been speaking on it. You know, all of these things of that nature. Been speaking on who Esau, Edom is. All right? Breaking down who the other nations is. Been speaking on these things. Now it's happening. The prophecies are taking place. Things are all happening. All right? Jacob's trouble, martial law. That's all going to come to play. Concentration camps. All right? Which they got shipping centers in those concentration camps, man. Right? Red list, blue list, yellow list. All right? You see? You know, any of those that oppose the New World Order. All right? It says, where we at with it? Verse number, latter verse. It says, and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, and it will not tarry. It says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, that's Esau. Behold, his soul, he has a proud spirit, right, is lifted up and is not upright, but he has a wicked, proud spirit. All right, a wicked, proud spirit is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. The righteous is going to live by faith. All right, that's the elect. The elect is going to live by faith, man. All right, okay, they're going to live by faith. Okay, it says, because what is it? Hebrews 11. Let me get this real quick. Hebrews 11:1. It says, now faith is substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. There you go. All right. So now let me get my next scripture. Let me get 2 Timothy 3:1. It says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Right. And perilous times is here right now, man. As you can see, the persecution of the northern kingdom, the persecution of a slight bit of the southern kingdom as well, with Levi, right? And things of that nature, man. All this legislation being passed up, right? See, but they ain't doing nothing but sending them to concentration camps, man. All right? That's all they doing. That's all they doing with the northern kingdom, man. All right? And a lot of the southern kingdom, too. All right? Time of Jacob's trouble. It's going to ramp up even more as time progresses, man. As this thing progresses on. All right? You see? So let me get Psalms 64. Let me get 64:3, and then let me get 64:8. Psalm 64, and actually Salakia 64. We'll get 3 too. It says, who wet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, right? It says it, all right, it says that they may shoot secretly, in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not, right? So let's jump down to verse number 8. It says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, right? And they've been exposing their own selves. We've been exposing them, they've been exposing their own selves. All right, it says, all that see them shall flee away, right? All that see them shall flee away. All right, let me get Revelation. The 13th chapter. Revelation, the 13th chapter, and let's go to the 15th verse. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, right? NATO, EU, right? He had power to give life unto the image of this beast, which is new technocracy, all right? AI-filled world, open AI, Skynet, from henceforth, remember, Terminator, Skynet, all right? Stargate, right, which they signed in there, Donald Trump. All right, open AI data centers, and so on and so forth, man. All right, bowing down to the image of this man's society, this system. All right, a policing, totalitarian, authoritarian government. All right, and bowing down to those images that I read in the right in the beginning, because those are considered forms of conformality, all right? Okay? It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, right? And through his legislation, right? Through their legislation, through their government policies, their senates, their laws, legislation, left wing, right wing, things like that, which ain't nothing but Roman, nothing but the Roman, ancient pagan Roman government system. All right, it says, and causeth that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, charagma, meaning an incision. Right. In the ancient days, it would be considered an oil. Right. In the ear, a badge of servitude. This is charagma, right, which means an etching or an incision or a badge of servitude. Right. You see, when you mark something, meaning you own it. Okay, you putting your signature. When you get an animal, you putting your signature brand on that animal, so it's unique, and you know, and you can identify. Right. So you got identified numbers. 666 is an identified number of the universal product code of Babylon the Great. All right, which is going to be installed on that chip, which is installed on that chip. The number of the beast, man. All right. Henceforth, Microsoft, you had a guy named George Laura who came up with that universal product code, Microsoft. All right, if I'm not mistaken, name. All right. It says, free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell transactional. Buying and selling is transactional. CBDCs is transactional cryptocurrency blockchain. All right? It says, and that no man might buy or sell, saith he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Henceforth a badge of servitude. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that haveth understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right, so let's get my last scripture in Job, the book of Job, the 11th chapter, and the 20th verse. It says, but the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up of the spirit. Right? So let's do this here. Let me get another one. Let me get Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Right? Let's go down here. All right, let's see. Let's put this in here. All right, Job 18:5, it says, yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. All right. It says Proverbs 13:9, it says, the light of the righteous rejoiceth, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. And with that, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Marakah Kodash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone, who well, peace and blessings and citation to the hopeful elect, the Bayath, Dawadah, the house of David. Shalom, Baba Ball.